Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to talk about a growing problem across our nation for young adults. I want to start by sharing a short story involving a young man fresh out of high school. Joel Hickman was 18 when he purchased his first motorcycle. Joel's friends had bought super sport motorcycles and were getting a lot of attention on them. Joel was also fueled by stunt riders that he had been watching on TV, so he found a used Honda CBR for $2,500 and was off to the races. The bike was cheap and great on gas. It was also very fast, which was great for Joel to gain an adrenaline rush. Joel and his friends started riding wheelies and doing tricks on the public highways. Together they drew a lot of attention, which fueled more tricks and wheelies. Joel felt invisible on his motorcycle and thought he could get away with anything, but that didn't last long. One day he was speeding around a corner, lost control of his bike and crashed. His body went flying into the air and into a telephone pole. Joel's story is actually much more fortunate than many similar stories of teenagers his age on supersport motorcycles. He survived his accident, while many others who make the same mistake annually do not. Joel is now a police officer and a motorcycle safety advocate. He does his best to make sure riders on public highways are obeying speed limits and following the rules. He makes a special effort in his off time to spread his knowledge and experience to new riders so that they don't have to learn the lessons the way he did. In Washington, the motorcycle licensing process is fairly simple. At 16, a teenager can gain an instruction permit with parents' consent. They must have a valid driver's license and pass the motorcycle operation knowledge test. They must also complete an approved rider's course. At 18, a teenager can attend a motorcycle safety course, which includes the motorcycle operation knowledge test, or take the riding test and a motorcycle operator knowledge test to obtain the motorcycle endorsement. Each of the courses I just mentioned, including the riding test, have a couple of things in common. First, the rider is not required to bring his or her own motorcycle. Some courses offer lightweight and small displacement motorcycles for the attendees to use. In other cases, riders can rent or borrow a small motorcycle to complete the course. Second, all of the courses are conducted in a parking lot where basic maneuvers occur but no realistic traffic is experienced. While these courses are effective at teaching and qualifying new riders on basic motorcycle training, they do not prepare a new rider for a large or powerful motorcycle. Now you may be asking, why is this a problem? The regulatory guidance is in place to make sure a new rider has the proper tools to lawfully ride a motorcycle on public roads. That rider is expected to use their own judgment in deciding what type of bike they are capable of handling and what bike suits their needs. Well, how many of you have children? Some are probably younger, and some may be adults at this point, but I'm sure you can all relate. Your 16-year-old child has requested a supercar for their 16th birthday. Because what 16-year-old doesn't want a supercar? Do you give them one? And why not? They're too expensive, and 16-year-olds make terrible decisions, making a supercar potentially very dangerous. I am sure many of you would agree that at 18, not a lot has changed, other than their confidence in their own knowledge and abilities. Except now, at 18, they have the ability to make decisions on their own without parents' consent. Most still can't afford a supercar, but they can afford a super sport motorcycle, and there is nothing stopping them from getting one. Now we have 18-year-olds like Joel who feel invincible riding a motorcycle that accelerates faster than 99% of the cars on the road. They're not only a danger to themselves, but to the rest of the public on the road. What can we do to fix that? They're lawfully purchasing a motorcycle, and we can't tell them that just because they may make a bad decision and hurt themselves that they can't do so. But we can make it unlawful to drive without a seatbelt or ride without a helmet, both of which hurt nobody but the bad decision maker. I'm not saying that super sport motorcycles should be banned, but I am saying that high-powered motorcycles should be better regulated. I am proposing a stepped licensing process as commonly used across Europe. This type of regulation, a 16-year-old can be qualified to ride up to a 125cc motorcycle. Anybody that tests for their first endorsement between the ages of 18 and 21 will be restricted for 2 years. This could be done in multiple different ways, such as 250 or 400 cc max engine size, or a power to weight ratio of under 0.1, or a combination of the two rules. This provides 2 years for new riders to get familiar with real riding traffic conditions before attempting to ride a motorcycle that is outside of their ability. The STEP system promotes rider safety and doesn't leave responsible young teens behind. They no longer would need to keep up with their friends to gain attention, because their friends are also riding less powerful motorcycles. This system also builds trust and confidence among the population regarding all riders. A report conducted by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration identified that there were 4,586 motorcycle accident-related fatalities and 92,000 injuries in 2014. In 2013, there were 56 fatalities per 100,000 registered motorcycles across the U.S. Meanwhile, the European Commission found that under the STEP licensing process, there were only 11 fatalities per 100,000 registered motorcycles across Europe in the same year. Over the last 9 years, the number of registered motorcycles in the U.S. has gone from 5.7 million to 8.4 million. These vehicles are proving economical and are more popular than ever, especially among young adults. When our current motorcycle regulation was put in place, motorcycles were nowhere near as powerful as they are today. Every year, super sport motorcycles lose weight and gain power, creating a deadly combination. The time to act is now, before we fall further behind other countries in highway safety. Increased motorcycle regulation will provide safer driving conditions for all of the public and will save lives. These young adults are our future, and while they may not make the greatest decisions now, with our support, more will live to make great decisions in the future.